Teslas have always had a reputation for being really fast. This has helped them be exceptionally aspirational and one of the reasons why they've sold so well compared to other EVs. But Elon Musk never rests on his laurels. So now we have the Tesla Model S Plaid, a 5-seater executive car that can hit 60 miles per hour in under 2 seconds. It's finally here in the UK, but only in left-hand drive form. Is that a problem, or is it a compromise worth making for a car that can humiliate a Bugatti and take your kids shopping? But before we answer that question, please don't forget to like, comment and subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you've seen the Tesla Model S before, then you've pretty much seen the Plaid before too. The exterior design hasn't changed significantly since we reviewed the previous Model S Performance back in 2020. The door handles and trim are now matte black rather than chrome, like the current Model 3 and Y. These 21-inch Arachnid rims are a new option, with a new 19-inch Tempest wheel, the base rim style. But otherwise, the Model S could really have done with a serious facelift. The only obvious sign that this is a Tesla with over 1,000 horsepower is this badge on the back. If you don't know the origins of the word plaid, in this context, it's from the movie Spaceballs. When they hit light speed, a faster speed is called ludicrous, like the previous performance cars, and then beyond that is the incredible speed of plaid. I think we know what kind of movies Elon Musk likes. There are no special colours for the Plaid edition. The choices are white as the base paint. Alternatively, you can choose black, this grey, blue or red. However, you can't customise your Plaid order in the UK. You have to select exactly what's available in the inventory at that specific time, and that means left-hand drive as well. We still don't understand that decision, considering that a third of the world is right-hand drive, other than economics. The Model Y and 3 sell in huge volume, but the S and X were always minimal in number. Tesla clearly wants to focus on the 3, Y and the much anticipated smaller Model 2, or whatever it will be called when it arrives. So you're not going to be buying the Tesla Model S Plaid for its innovative looks, but you might be buying it for the technology. So let's take a look inside. The interior has had a significant update over the original S. Obviously, the steering wheel is now on the wrong side, but we'll get back to that. The wood veneer has been replaced with this much more fetching and appropriate carbon fibre. There are 3 colour upholstery options, the standard black, white or this cream, which is our favourite. Both front seats are of course electrically adjustable, and you can map the settings to your particular key card for the driver's seat. These seats are very comfortable and will be excellent for long journeys, but the big difference here is the technology and how it's presented to you. We'll get to what that means for the controls in a second, but the main thing to note is that this panel is now landscape rather than portrait. This means there's more space for a couple of wireless phone chargers in the central console. There's no HUD, but you still get an instrument binnacle behind the steering wheel, unlike a Model 3 or Y. Thankfully, the yoke steering wheel is an option this particular car doesn't have. While you can only buy the Model S Plaid from inventory, not build your own, this is apparently one feature you can request, because the Tesla service centre can swap it over themselves. So you're in the central console, you can move this forward to reveal a couple of cup holders, move it further forward and you've got a bit of space underneath here. And if you lift this up, you've got a much deeper cubby hole here as well. So we've now come to the classic problem: how do you actually open the glove compartment in a Tesla? Well, one way you can do it, I think, is this way. Open glove compartment. And it opened the charge port. Failing that, you have to go through the controls and then go through here and go glove box, and there it is. It's not particularly huge. You'd probably only be able to get a couple of pairs of gloves, not gloves for the entire family in there. Of course, one of the things that'll be problematic with a left-hand drive car is when you go into a parking lot and you need to retrieve the ticket. So Tesla, believe it or not, they haven't given it to us, but they are giving you something like this to go with the car. So you can basically reach across, grab the ticket, and then you're sorted. Fantastic solution. And of course, as a green conscious Tesla owner, you can use it to pick up rubbish in your spare time as well. There is loads of space for adults in the back, plenty of headroom. I'm 5'10", so I could be over 6 feet and still be okay. There's a decent amount of knee room, so 2 adults in the back here would be great. This middle seat is okay. but you are sitting a bit high, and the seat back is a little bit far forward, so really only for children, this middle seat. Of course, if you don't have a rear middle seat passenger, you can drop this down, and this is a particularly cool central armrest. So you've got a couple of cup holders, and underneath here you've actually got 2 wireless phone chargers. According to our cameraman, that makes this the best car we've ever seen. The big change is that the rear passengers get this screen. There are a couple of USB ports there, so if you did have a phone that had USB only, you could use these. These are USB-C though, so you'd need to have an adapter for a regular one. This screen, you can get to change the air conditioning. You can turn the air conditioning on, tap to power on, there it is, and you can move it around in typical Tesla fashion. I'm going to turn it off because it's a bit noisy. But here's the cool thing, you actually get multimedia, so you can go onto YouTube and watch your YouTube in the back, so your kids can watch that while looking down, get really car sick and ruin your upholstery. Or if you're a more cultured person, it's perfect for binge watching WhichEV videos on a long journey. Surprisingly, there are no seatback pockets for your kids to put their copies of The Accidental Billionaire or whatever it is kids read these days. Maybe Elon thinks kids don't read anymore these days. But if your kids are really small and before reading age, there are some ISOFIX points here to strap their car seats down with. So one of the things that we've always liked about the Model S is you get a lot of rear luggage space, and it's also a hatchback. You just need to get rid of this panel here, and you can see my small backpack is totally dwarfed because this is 645 litres of space. There is a little bit more under here as well. So you could maybe put, if you have a very small child that you don't really like very much, you could put them in there. And then you've got these buttons that from that angle you can't quite see, but if I pull that, opens that, push that forward. Although there are buttons on the back of the seats, these are very convenient. You pull that and that releases that, and then you can push that forward. You can see it's so big that I can hardly reach it. This is now 1,645 litres. So if you do need to go down the shops, maybe move some furniture, there's plenty of space in the back here. This car also has a frunk like most Teslas. This is about 60 litres, so you can see it's plenty for your cables, or you could put another small child that you don't like in here. That's an overall total of 1,705 litres, which would put quite a few estate cars to shame, so that's a lot of space. So if you need this car for a holiday or an airport run, there's plenty of space for that. The Tesla Model S has always been the king of range, and even this high-powered Plaid edition has 390 miles from its 100 kilowatt-hour battery. In fact, you only get 15 more miles from the dual motor version. One thing that has changed is that this car now has a CCS port rather than the Tesla proprietary port. Tesla's also brought the charging speed of this car up to that of the Model 3. So now it will do 250 kilowatts, which means if you can find a V3 supercharger or another really fast rapid, you'll be able to replenish this car from 10 to 80% in about half an hour. Just don't park next to somebody else with an S. If you're on AC, this car will support 11 kilowatts, but you need to have 3-phase power for that. If you're lucky, that'll give you a 10-hour 0 to 100% charge. On a more regular 7 kilowatt charger, you'll fill up in 15 hours. Either way, this car is more than capable of very long journeys. During my testing, I was getting about 2.9 miles per kilowatt hour, which means with the 95 kilowatt hour nominal capacity of this battery, that's about 271 miles of real range. If you're the kind of person who drives London to Manchester without stopping, this could be the car for you, as long as you don't cane it too much. Starting the system, if you don't have a phone paired, is to put your key here. Aside from the steering wheel shape, the controls are the same, yoke or no yoke. You'll notice the thing that's clearly missing is no steering wheel stalks. Instead, these buttons operate the indicators, which is a little confusing at first, particularly if you have to indicate with the wheel turned. Windscreen wipers use this button, and you can use the left-hand wheel to actually change the speed and whether it's on auto mode. Probably the biggest shock if you come from a previous Tesla is there's no longer a Mercedes-style stalk for controlling drive modes. Instead, you slide up and down, so you drive up for drive, down for reverse, and then you press the button in the middle to go back to park mode. The instrument display remains, however, giving you autopilot view, a speed readout and navigation. It's not terrible using these buttons, and you do get used to it, but you do have to wonder what was wrong with stalks. Everything else though is configured through this 17-inch display, which we'll talk about next. As I already mentioned, this is now landscape oriented instead of portrait and has a high 2200 by 1300 pixel resolution. During driving, by default, the screen is mostly taken up by the sat-nav. However, you can also orientate it in different ways. You can have it centrally orientated, or you can angle it towards the passenger, depending on whether who's going to be using it most. We'll put it back towards me. You get these quick icons along the bottom for things like air conditioning. Just turn that on, or you can choose to turn the radio. This will change. You can drag things down there, and you have quick access to various functions like heated steering wheel and heated seats and windscreen washers, windscreen demisters rather. But hit the car icon, you get to the full menu. You can see you have full access to the controls, pedals and steering. You can see you've got Plaid mode, sport mode and chill if you really want to drive. Why you'd buy this car and drive it in chill mode, I have no idea. Drag strip mode if you really want to show off to your friends. Steering can be comfort, standard or sport. You've got track mode there. There's various different suspension setups. This car has air suspension. Even in sport mode though, it's still pretty nice and comfortable. Charging option, autopilot settings, how the locks are configured, how the lights are configured. That's the display one where you can change the brightness and how the change that to auto. That will go bright. There you go. And put it back to dark though, maybe. Trip mode, how the navigation system is configured. Safety options, quite a few things there. You can see it's been set to 87 miles an hour. And service options, and of course software updates, because this is a Tesla, which means it gets regular software updates to add new features. Naturally, this car is connected. You get a year of that as standard when you first buy it, and then it's £9.99 a month, which seems like a lot, but you get everything, including live traffic and all the updates and remote sensing of where the car is, all that kind of stuff, even remote view of the Sentry mode cameras as well. Now if you compare that to other manufacturers, you know, if you had remote services from Mercedes, you'd probably have to pay more than that for each individual service. So actually it's quite a bargain. The Tesla Model S Plaid can famously accelerate from 0 to 60 miles per hour in under 2 seconds, although its short stint as the fastest car in the world has been usurped roundly by the Rimac Nevera. That's thanks to a tri-motor format that gives you 1020 horsepower. Even the non-tri-motor dual motor Model S can accelerate from 0 to 60 in 3.1 seconds. That's the same as a Model 3 performance. The Plaid's top speed is 200 miles per hour, which definitely means you get the kids to school really fast in this car and onwards towards a driving ban. We've been told that in the UK there's a software limit of 155 miles per hour. While superfast acceleration isn't illegal yet, the ease with which you can get to a very high speed in this car could put you in some pretty tricky situations on a regular basis. Your passengers also won't thank you for threatening to break their necks every time the lights change. Even if you're the driver, when you hit the acceleration, you can feel your blood pressure change and get kind of lightheaded. Luckily for your passengers, this car has adaptive air suspension, so it eats bumps for breakfast. It's not in the same league as a Mercedes or Range Rover air suspension, but it's much more comfortable than a Tesla Model 3 or Y. You can also easily adjust the suspension and steering for more comfort or more sporty performance. While this car can go around bends very competently for a 2.2 ton vehicle, it's not as tight as a Porsche Taycan or BMW i4 M50. The Model 3 performance feels more chuckable too. Highways are where this car really shines. It's so comfortable that you can cruise at 70 miles per hour for long distances and really enjoy your drive. However, that left-hand drive does have drawbacks for fast A roads in the UK. Most Teslas are brilliant for those roads where you need to grab your opportunities in a split second when you're stuck behind slow-moving traffic. Now let's test that speed. Whoa! I think I left my brain somewhere back there. Good thing I don't wear a wig, despite what some people on YouTube have commented. As you're on the wrong side, you can't see oncoming traffic that easily when you want to make that overtake. This makes the immense acceleration of the Plaid less useful on British roads. It's also harder to see right on a junction. than if you were sitting on the right side. But otherwise, this is a great car to drive, despite its 2.2 tons of weight. The Model S has a 5-star Euro NCAP rating with excellent scores in every area, particularly safety assist. Like every new Tesla, the Model S Plaid has collision detection, blind spot warning, and emergency braking, which is going to be handy in a car this fast. This is assisted by camera views that pop up when you indicate. There's a dash cam integrated, and as long as you've got a USB flash drive installed in the USB port in the glove compartment, it will record events if you hit something or hit the horn. You can also turn on Sentry mode when the car is parked, and it will detect motion and make a recording. You can even view these cameras remotely using the app. Now we come to autopilot, which is standard on all Teslas. As already mentioned though, that uses a different system. You actually have to press the button to enable it, and you press it again to get the auto steer, and then you use the wheel as before to change the distance from the car in front and also the speed that it's set. If you're in auto steer mode, it will sense road markings and take care of cornering. You do need to keep your hands on the wheel and give it a little jiggle to show it you're awake. Even then, this is one of the most relaxing cruise controls around. The FSD option is a waste of money in Europe unless you want to fund Tesla's development of this capability. Right now, the enhanced autopilot mode for £3,400 gives you a load of extra features like stop and go and traffic light detection. You also get navigate on autopilot, which enables things like changing lanes by simply indicating as long as there's a clear space for it to get into. There's auto park, which frankly doesn't work that well with parallel parking in narrow British streets. Finally, you get summon and smart summon, which are great for leading your car in and out of a tight car park space, which is too narrow for you to actually get in and out the doors. Overall, this is a nice car to drive, very smooth, but also very fierce when you want it to be. The Model S Plaid is available in the States for $110,000, but here in the UK, it's £113,000, which is a significant premium. The non-Plaid S is £20,000 less. Just to reiterate, you can't place a custom order for this car. You have to take what's available in inventory. So you're not going to get the exact specification you want unless you're really lucky. We did a quick check, and the ones currently on Tesla's inventory are all over 118,000, and this car is probably about that price as well. The price tag puts the Model S Plaid in exactly the same league as the BMW i7 or Mercedes EQS. The BMW only has slightly less range, but is nowhere near as quick. The EQS has more range, but is a lot less quick. Even if you go for the much more expensive AMG version of the EQS, it's no match on performance. You're probably getting the picture by now. Nothing can touch the Tesla Model S Plaid for performance, which is not exactly news. Nor can they touch it for boot space practicality in this class. But it has to be said, both the BMW i7 and Mercedes EQS surpass the Tesla for interior luxury. The basic warranty is 4 years or 50,000 miles, but you can extend that by another 4 years if you pay some extra money within the 4 years original warranty. Either way, the battery warranty is for 8 years or 150,000 miles. Now, given that during testing the Model S has lost as little as 5% of its battery life after 150,000 miles, there's nothing much to worry about there. Let's start with the obvious statement. This car is ridiculously quick. It also handles extremely well, although if you want an even more engaging drive, we'd recommend a Model 3 Performance, a Porsche Taycan, a BMW i4 M50, or even a Polestar 2. That said, the air suspension is a league above any Model 3 or Model Y, and the luxury is a league above too. But the elephant in the room is that left-hand drive. You get used to it, but it does compromise safety, particularly when you're doing things like coming out of a junction or overtaking on an A road. We just wish Tesla had brought this car out in right-hand drive format, because it's an excellent vehicle.